drawing of a bridge. Now, we all have this saying, I'll cross that bridge when
Wind's
I get
changed
to
direction,
it.
Cat.
Now, this architectural
help
bridge
yourself.
that showed me, the bridge never crossed. So when everyone was losing all their mind, worrying what was going on, I knew the bridge would never cross. However, the architectural drawing was very, very detailed. So I liken this to the plans that they've got for us. You know, we hear a lot of doom and gloom, don't we? It's obvious the government's lied to us. It's obvious the healthcare system, the education system, blah, 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 blah. It's obvious they've lied to us, and we're in this place now that we never thought we'd be in. But I know that that bridge is never going to cross, folks, because I've had good authority from my guys. So this is a message of hope. Now you might say to me, well, how do you know? We've got no evidence. But this is where I start talking about dimensions. So you might hear people talking about, we're going into the fifth dimension, or we're going to ascend. And that can be like, well, what do you mean? What's the fifth dimension? What's the fourth dimension? What's the third dimension? So I'm just going to do a little explanation as to how I view the dimensional spaces that we're in. So 3D dimensional space then is when you believe in the government, you think the healthcare system is wonderful, you know, you think education is wonderful, you watch the BBC, that's 3D. Now, COVID has made many people wake up. They're no longer in the 3D space because they've seen the BS of it all. Things aren't adding up. But that's when you get into the 4D space. The 4D is when you're not trusting the old matrix anymore, but you start seeing holes in it and you start seeing it. But to be honest, 4D can be pretty doom and gloom. It looks pretty hopeless. But after 4D comes 5D. Now, 5D is when you have a greater connection to soul. You have got a trust in the knowledge that there's something bigger than what you can see and touch and feel and taste. So you start realizing there's more to life than this. But it takes on a spiritual component because it's a must, you know. This whole thing that we've been in these last eons of time, it's not just 5 years post-COVID, it's actually 10,000 years since the demise of golden Atlantis. But nevertheless, what this entire thing is about is a battle for our energy, our souls, our frequency. So when you've gone over to 3D then, let's just go back to 3D. 3D, you want evidence. I wanted to talk and somebody said, Julian, that's all very well, but where's your evidence? Well, evidence is 3D. So if you can't feel it, touch it, taste it, that's a 3D way of viewing it. But like I said to you, 5D is when you've got this knowledge from within. So what is this knowledge from within? It's your connection to source energy. So one of the things I say is your greatest ever resource is your direct connection to source. Now, everybody, and I mean everybody, has got the ability to be psychic and spiritual. We are spiritual beings in a human body right now. And, you know, I talk about traversing dimensions and even, you know, I talk about off-planet stuff, galactic stuff, but I'm not going to dig into that too much today because if it's the first time you've seen me, I won't go into that today and I've only got half an hour. So, everyone can be psychic and I'm going to prove it to you now. So here, look, I've got a tray and it's got 4 different items on it. So, I want everybody to look. There's a pair of glasses, a pine cone, a Buddha statue, an ornament, and a crystal. So what I'm going to do in a minute, when I've explained this, is project my consciousness out into the collective field of consciousness. You might say to me, Gillian, what is the collective field of consciousness? There's no, what, how can't see it? I can't feel it. What is it? Right, well, I would say to you folks, no doubt you've all got one of these in your pocket, a mobile phone, right? And if you switch it on, then you can decode, oh yeah, I've got talk mobile signal here. Oh, I've got this, I've got my Wi-Fi. But until you switch your phone on, you wouldn't be aware that you've got a 3G, 5G, whatever signal coming through this, would you? No. Equally, you as an organic man and woman on this earth plane, you are your own technology, right? So, everybody has got the ability to pick up the collective field of consciousness, which, if you like, is like the mobile phone signal or your Wi-Fi. So you've all got the ability to pick up this. And I'm going to prove it to you now, because, like I say, your greatest ever resource is your direct connection to source. So why, when everyone else was getting really, really worried about they're going to bring digital ID in, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're not, right? They're not. They've planned it. That architectural drawing, they've done minute detail, and hats off to them. They've done a good job of planning. But I say, this is not happening on my timeline. Yes. You can choose that timeline if you like, but I'm not going there. It is not my reality, because we are quantum beings and we choose our reality. So, here we are, the four objects. We've got the crystal, we've got the pine cone, we've got Buddha Shakyamuni, and we've got a pair of glasses. So what I'm going to do now is choose one of these items in my mind, and I'm going to cast it out into the collective field of consciousness. So I'm going to send out my phone signal to you or whatever. So I'm going to concentrate on one item now. I'm going to just be quiet for 2 seconds while I really project this out into the field of consciousness. And what you want to do is just pick up that signal from me to you. Okay, right, I've done it. And I'm not going to shame anyone, but who picked up the Buddha? Because that's the one I chose in my mind. So if you picked up the Buddha there, well done. If you didn't, practice makes perfect. So one thing I do, I teach that everybody is spiritual, unless you're an NPC, but that's probably another story for another day when I'm first talking to you. So yeah, everybody has got this ability, and it's just a case of developing it. Now, I have got my website, gillianengland.com. You can get the QR code there. And I've just released a course in spiritual and psychic development. So it covers all the basics of if you want to develop your spiritual and psychic development. So, another thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to have to keep shouting now because the rain's getting that loud on the Thames, is my work on the ley line. So many of you might have seen the film I did with Mark Atwood. I'm an energy worker, I'm an energy director, and one of my passions is to heal the world and banish demons. So for years, I've always been awake, I've never been asleep. And for years and years, I've been doing lots of energy work. I've been to in France, I've been to where they had the First World War sites. I travel all around. I've been down to CERN. I go around, and if you look at my YouTube channel, you can see some of the things I get up to. But one of the things I do is work on ley lines. So ley lines are the natural energetic patterns. It's like the patterns, the energetic field, the grid of the planet. So everywhere in the planet has ley lines. Now, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales are very, very special places on this planet because we are, we've got a lot of ancient wisdom embedded into the earth and a lot of very powerful ley lines. Now, lots of the ancient sites like the stone circles, etc., they're all on the ley lines. And it's my comprehension that these are like the ancients used them as like phone lines of communication and for landing places for the extraterrestrials. But like I said, I'm not going too far into that today. It's your initiation to be in England, so that's probably a bit too much. But they are not just old antique places. There's a lot more to what you know and what I know about this world, and the ley lines just help. A lot of the churches, a lot of the cathedrals are on major ley lines, and they were actually used as healing places when we had our previous civilization of Tartaria. If any of you have been down that rabbit hole, many of the cathedrals are actually earth energy centers. So they've placed them on the ley lines because then the ley lines use the energy from the planet to enhance the healing. And this is all going to come out very soon, I think. So I'm just thinking, how much time have I had? I could go on forever. But shall I carry on a bit? Yeah,
carry on.
So that's it. What shall I talk about? Does anyone have any questions? I know I wasn't planning on doing a Q&A, but does anyone have any questions? No? All right. Okay. So let's okay. Thank you. Let's think of what else I can talk about then. So, yeah, I've got 2 books out actually. So here's my book. I taught my first book. You can get these both on Amazon, but I am selling them today. The first one I wrote 9 years ago. It's called Enchanted Earth. It's about my journey from leaving Source. So I've got an awareness of leaving Source and taking my first incarnation on my home planet, which is called Lycia, which is way out in many different cosmoses. And I qualified to become an overseer of planet Earth and the consciousness of planet Earth. And I've been doing that ever since. And quite often, one of my galactic things is an energy director. So as I work with the ley lines, I use the ley lines to direct energy. And another thing I did, what it talks about in Enchanted Earth, is when the Earth was in its infancy, we did have dragons on the Earth. We had lots of what you would call mythical creatures. I talk about that in this book. And I also talk about how, excuse me, it's because I'm straining my voice, but how I lent my consciousness to the people that created the human body. So it wasn't an abduction. I actually lent my consciousness while they got the prototype of the human body sorted out. So it talks about that. It talks about the recent cycles of life on Earth and recent incarnations that I've had as a human, as well as other things. And then this book is Spiritual Development in 5D. So this is a good basic for helping you comprehend the basics of spiritual development. So it tells you daily practices like setting the intention, psychic, how to be psychic, like clairaudient, clairvoyant, all that sort of stuff, what it means. Things like gratitude, how to safely communicate with ETs and aliens. We are going to get disclosure fairly soon if you've not already had it. They've got this Atlas 3D, that 3 Atlas thing or whatever it's called. I'm dyslexic, I get pronunciations wrong. I actually think that that's excuse me. I think that's actually divine consciousness, and it's coming to uplift us, give us keys and codes. I don't know what it's telling you on your channels. There's a lot of doom and gloom about it, but I think it's actually a divine, benign being that's coming to serve humanity. I really, truly do. And, astrologically, the planets are aligning and we are in an absolute period of awakening right now. And, for 10,000 years, we have been on the back foot. The former controllers have been controlling humanity. They've been, we've had eons and eons of incarnations where we've been on the back foot and we finished last. But this time, folks, this is your master lifetime. This time we win. So don't go on those negative timelines of doom and gloom, because it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not happening on my timeline. You are a quantum being and you get to choose your timeline. And while I'm on this, I'll just tell you this as well. Universal law means that while we're on planet Earth, you have to consent. We are free will beings, and if you have to consent to something, no one can impose anything on you, because planet Earth is a free will place. Now, the governments have been trying to make everybody, trick them into taking things, medical things, you know what I'm talking about, with jibby-jabby. And they've used words like, it's mandatory. Mandatory means with consent. So another thing I talk about a lot is to say to people, stand in your power. If you don't want something, you're a free will being, say, I do not consent. So I'll give you some examples where I do not consent. And the reason it's really important to say you do not consent is because if you explicitly stated, I do not consent, then the people that go against your consent are then contravening the karmic laws, and they will be subject to karma. So every time I see the chemtrail of blokes in the sky, I literally point up and say, I do not consent, I do not consent, I do not consent. So some days it's like, that I don't get very far before I'm just saying, I do not consent, I do not consent, I do. But the reason I say this is because then the people involved in that, the contractors, the pilots, whoever, they are going to be subject to universal law and karma, because I've explicitly stated I do not consent. If I've not stated I do not consent, implied consent is taken and they are not subject to universal law. So I would encourage all of you to say that. Every time I pass a traffic camera, I say I do not consent. Because I do not consent to them taking my number plate for those APRNs or whatever it is, cameras. I do not consent to them taking my number plate or tracking me or tracing me. I really do not consent to that. So I tell them I don't, because they've just imposed that on us. Have any of you here consented to traffic cameras?
No.
Have you consented to chemtrails?
No.
No, none of us have, but we're sovereign beings of this realm. We do not consent to it. Therefore, if you state I do not consent, they are subject to karmic law. Now, I'm not the Lord of Karma, they sort it out, but all I have to do is say I do not consent. Another little story here, I think I've got 5 minutes left, have I? Another little story here. If any of you know Mark Atwood, I talk about him quite a bit. He did a film in America where he went around filming. Just before he was about to release his film, he rang me up and said, Gillian, can you do anything about it? The sound's gone. Every single copy of my film, the sound's gone. What can we do? He said, can you look into it? So I looked into it, and this sounds really far-fetched, but I noted there was some grey aliens that had corrupted the files. So I banished the grey aliens, because that's what I do, banish demons. I banished them, and then lo and behold, his sound was restored, so his film was saved. Now, I'm not saying that because I want any kudos, but the reason I'm saying this is because you, standing here, are very powerful as a man and woman incarnated on this realm. So after I realised, well, if I can reinstate the sound of the digital file, then I can corrupt digital files. So every time I pass a speed camera, guess what I do? In my mind, with my intention, I corrupt the file, because I do not consent to the police having any of my data. And I literally will imagine the zeros and ones corrupting. And you are powerful, folks. They've told us we're not powerful, because when we realise that we are powerful, it's game over for them. And that's why they've kept us in this enslaved society where we are kicking and fussing around just to pay the rent, pay the, whatever, food, whatever we've got to pay for, fake utility bills, we know it's all a load of nonsense. But the reason they've done this is because they want us enslaved, so that we don't wake up and we don't stand in our power and we don't rattle them. That's what it is. Because the moment everybody, imagine if everybody was doing this, honestly, they would be toast. It would be game over. And, you are a quantum being. I cannot get this message over enough. You choose your reality. You are a quantum being. You don't have to accept the nonsense from this world. You choose your own world. And that's where I'm coming from. And that's my biggest message to man and womankind, that you are a powerful, beautiful, wonderful being. Know thyself, love thyself, and stand in your power. Thanks, folks. And like I say, I will be selling my books if you want one. They're £10 each. There's people sometimes say, "Oh, you're feeding the beast, Gillian, selling them on Amazon." Well, the reason I do that is because I have got an international following, and people buy them in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America. If I'm shipping them out there, it costs a fortune, but it costs them $16 and they get it delivered the next day. So there is it's for that reason, to get the message out, not to feed the beast. Anyway, I don't need to justify myself, but I just thought I'd say that.
You do not.
So £10 each. And my call, go to gillianengland.com. Find me on TikTok. Find me on YouTube. I've got a Telegram channel as well. And I appreciate you asking me. Thank you, Stacey, for inviting me. I'm a local girl. I'm only down the road in Derbyshire. So thanks, everybody. And I am talking actually on the 1st of October at Burnley. So if anybody knows, is it Carlo, the Hopton Inn? I'm talking on the 1st of October there. I'm talking on the 16th of December with a chemtrail pilot that I know, and Harry Rhodes. We're doing a 3-way gig at the cricket ground in Burnley. And then I've got another gig in Belper in December. So if you go on my website, gillianengland.com, you'll see where I'm at. So thanks very much. Love you lots. And don't let the swear words get you down.
Who's up next? Is it Chris Smith?
It's not easy to do that, though. I'd just be nervous.
I think I could do it if I got past first 3 minutes. That would be hardest.
Oh, it's Mick.
Hello.
Hello.
If someone give me a couple of... You look all right on there, you.
It looks good to me. It looks like,
He's camera genius.
yeah, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
This is a knife.
That's not a knife.
This is a knife.
This is a knife.
That'd be a second centre stage.
It isn't it? So that was Gillian England. Look her up on YouTube. Hopefully I'm going to see John Gilbert. Is he still here, John Gilbert? Is he over there somewhere?
Where's Smithy? I'm sure he's on there.
Smith is on at some point, yeah. Christopher J. Smith.
You met Smithy? Mine and Luke's mate and Liam's mate.
So there's just going to be a little interval sort of thing in between, I think. I don't know who's on next.
That's a woman.
So keep these entertained anyway, y'all. Yeah, keep people entertained.
Keep people entertained. Would you like a glass of whiskey? Because that's keeping me warm.
Not on the laptop though, because I don't want.
It's not keeping you entertained, but it's keeping me warm. Keeping you warm, Beth. Oh yeah.
Christopher J. Smith.
Oh yeah.
If you can make your way to the stage.
Oh, is he? Look, that's him in grey.
Oh, well, I've just been smoking a zoot next to him for the past half an hour.
Dave, do not put me in charge of this.
Sorry.
Oh, me, Liam. I'm highly...
Smithy!
It actually is. For one day, out of weeks. I've had to enjoy myself. And I'm really enjoying it.
Christopher J. Smith is up. Very good.
I'm glad he stayed.
He's a country and western singer.
Oh, Smithy, I love him.
I'm going to go and sit over there for a bit. I'm bloody freezing, but feel free to
Okay. Oh, me.
I'll float back over.
I'm quite liking it, really. I'm quite used to it now. I've
Well,
come to accept the rain. It's quite.
yeah,
It's
I
quite.
love rain, but I just don't like being
Okay,
cold.
guys, welcome everyone. Good to be here.
Despite the
My
rain.
name's Chris. I'm a self-realization author and speaker. I host various retreats.
Bit louder,
Is it louder, yeah?
Smithy.
Okay. Yeah. How's that? Better? Yep. So I'm a self-realization author and speaker. What I've been asked to speak to you today about is inner awakening. So there's two kinds of awakenings. There's the a geopolitical awakening, which most of us are familiar with here, and that's where we're awakening to the corruption, the hidden hand, if you will, behind world events and changes in society. But then there's another kind of awakening, which some of you might have had, which is an inner awakening. Nikola Tesla, you might have heard of, one of the famous inventors of the past. He said that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And really, when we look at the totality of life itself, it's really all just a game of energy. A game of energy, a game of frequency, a game of vibration. And so when we look at it from that perspective, we can see that the real solution is to address that level of things. And the whole game is to really sort of trap people in a lower state of vibration, a lower state of frequency, a lower state of energy. And the way that this has been done is by getting us to identify ourselves, to self-identify with limited things. Because the more that we self-identify, the more that it pulls us into these lower states of frequency and consciousness. And so coming together with solutions, being creative, ways around the system are absolutely what needs to be done. But also, what is going to add to that, give you extra power and strength, is when you're able to awaken to what you really are at the source. Because as you awaken deeper to what you are at the source, you start to move into these higher states of frequency. And that's what they don't want. And so all the effort is to bring you into these lower states of frequency by getting you to identify with as many different things as possible. And essentially, you're not your possessions, you're not your career, you're not even your body, you're not your emotions, you're not even your thoughts. There is something within each one of us, a deeper dimension, which is the source, that is beyond all of it. And it's this that they don't want people to realize. And all the religions of the world really have been pointing to the same thing. They've been pointing to this source that is within each one of us. And they call it different names. Some call it God, have different names for God. Or you can call it source. And when you awaken to that source, you break free out of these limited states of consciousness from which you cannot be controlled or manipulated anymore. And also, you move out of a state of suffering and unhappiness, which many people are in when they're in these limited states. And you move into a dimension of freedom, of peace, of joy, unconditional peace, unconditional freedom. And so what's happening at the moment, which some of you might have heard about, is what's called transhumanism. Transhumanism. And this is the next level of what they're trying to push to really pull people into these lower states of frequency and identification. I mean, how much do we now see in the social media age? So many people that have self-identified with their social media profiles have got addicted to technology. We see this a lot, I think, now with the kids, unfortunately, that are addicted to the technology. And they're identifying who they are as being part of that technology. And so what they're introducing is more technology that you can wear, wearables, technology that can go into the body, chips in the hand, chips even in the brain, and augmented reality, which is blurring the lines between the natural reality and technology, and also virtual reality. And so there's a danger that if people are not able to recognize who they really are at the source, come back to their true nature, that they will get pulled into these lower states of frequency, even in the technological level as well. And if that happens, then whoever controls that technology will ultimately have the ability to control you. And of course, this is what many of us know, is we know that there has been this hidden hand trying to control people and societies.
Cheers, darling.
And now through the sort of tech people, the tech gurus, the tech oligarchs, these are the next people that have the potential to control a large portion of humanity. And so my message essentially is to say that realize who you are as the source. Awaken to the source of what you are. So what does that mean? What does it mean to awaken to the source? How do you awaken to the source? If we think of water or liquid, liquid can exist in three different states. You have ice, you've got water or liquid, and then you have gas. Ice is a very rigid state. You can't do much with it. But if you heat the ice, it becomes liquid, becomes water. It's more fluid. You can do a little bit more with it. It's more free. But if you heat the water even further, it becomes gas or vapor. It's even more free. And so this is really like an analogy for your true nature. Your body is like the ice, it's rigid. Your mind is like water, it is more fluid. But what is even more free than the body and the mind is the source within you, a dimension within. And you can tap into that source right now. I invite you right now, as you're listening to these words, as you're listening to the rain, turn your attention towards the listener, to the one within you that is listening, a silent listener. That silent listener is what you really are. That silent listener is the source of what you are that is actually non-physical. It's beyond this body, it's beyond the mind. And when you access that level, when you return back to that level consciously, you're no longer then limited by the body and the mind. You're no longer stuck in the body and the mind. And so then whatever happens to the body and the mind, it doesn't ultimately happen to you. It doesn't ultimately affect you. And so the whole game is to trap people in this physical consciousness so that then things can affect you and you can be controlled.
Like, imagine in a few years.
So that is essentially the message I have. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. is to say, return back to the source, remember who you are, and focus on bringing as much attention to that as possible. How do we do it? You awaken to the source by asking those big questions in life, which I'm sure many of you have asked before. Questions like, who am I? Who am I really? What is God? What is truth? It is these kinds of big questions that will lead you to discover that source within you. And it's about bringing attention to that. Once you've realized this source of what you are, or had a glimpse of this source, the more you give attention to that, the more it starts to grow and magnify in your experience. And this is the power of things like meditation, the power of self-inquiry. The more you give attention to the source of what you are, the more that awakens within you, and the more that your frequency and your level of consciousness raises to a much higher level. And so some ways that you can join me in doing this is we have locally every Saturday morning in one well we join together and we go into silent meditation. And that's powerful because when we come together as a group, not only does the individual benefit, not only does the individual's consciousness increase, but it adds to the collective as well. Everybody within the group, their consciousness increases as well. And essentially, you're sending that energy out through the grid, especially in a lot of these sacred places like churches and chapels that are built on ley lines. You're actually sending that energy out into the field, into the community, and everybody then benefits from that. And as more and more of us start to come together, the more that frequency and energy rises. So I encourage you to attend that if you are local on Saturdays. And also what we do is we host some retreats as well. We have a retreat taking place in February 2026 in the Netherlands. It's going to be a 7-day retreat, 7-day silent retreat. There will be sessions where we come together and we discuss, we explore, we work through things. But it will all take place in the container of a silent retreat. And there's something very powerful when you can tap into silence. True silence. Many of us, we don't experience true silence. Even if you go out into nature, if the mind is not silent, then there is no true silence. So when you're able to quiet the mind, go beyond the mind, you really tap into a deep level of silence that connects you to the source of what you are and raises you to another level of frequency. And finally, in the bigger picture of things, even beyond what is taking place in our societies, there's something that you may not have heard of called the ring pass not. The ring pass not. And it is this level of frequency in life that ultimately, even beyond our human incarnation, that when we return to the source, we're able to break out of this level of constant cycling, what some have called reincarnation. And you could say, and many have said, that this is the ultimate purpose of human life. The ultimate purpose is to awaken to that source, to break out of the ring past that level, and to find true freedom, liberation, and salvation. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Yay!
I thought I put better leggings at least.
Can we have Andrew from Blue Skies, please? Andrew, Blue Skies ahead.
He's older though, he's probably about 40.
It is fit and fit.
No, not him, there's someone else. We're chatting to him at the other ones.
Okay. You know what? I know something when we were doing on the road. All about the fights. All about the living. You know what I mean? He didn't believe in God or something. He took us like to.
I just wanted to say to him, I don't think he won't pay attention, just come and stop that down. So the shot was perfect. Yeah, he just shrugged his shoulders. I think he's putting years ago. Oh no, he's just shouting.
My name is Steve Dark. And right school goes bad. My heart will be bad. You hear that? Now,
Is it?
my God is dark.
Look at his garb.
And I will not be that for a while. Out of this world,
Joking.
I say my name down the lower. I don't need God to slower. But we have good from so far. I will something in a over. Within my pocket and a real.
Oh, you're gonna die. Oh, you're gonna die.
Oh, you're gonna die. I mean, they were like, what? What? They were like, oh my God, you're gonna die.
Oh, God.
Like, just their reaction, just Rusty and Luke's reaction, were like, oh my God, you had just chosen like it's got the hardest punch in the world.
That's James. Come on, sit down, kid.
We are a bit out.
Come on, fucking I know. You wobbled in and you wobbling out. Fucking sit down.
Fucking legs and bench. You're right.
No, I don't.
You know what I need to do? I need to go to bed for a fucking hour and get warm. I'm
I'm a
fucking freezing.
It's cold, isn't it?
It's freezing.
Thanks for that, darling.
Hey, this is a
It
full
It was like a
cry.
wet dog shaking
It's a
itself.
full cry from a month ago. We were all sat up here in fucking blistering sunshine. I have no idea. Hold on.
We got the phone in here.
Yeah.
I feel sorry. In all honesty, I feel sorry.
What's going on?
Right.
Why?
There's loads going on there.
How much does it cost them to come? It's just 25. Oh, there's only 25.
No. So, we're going to have a good meat tonight up there.
No, but I mean,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
T10 still
Yeah.
going strong.
you know, my
Yeah.
tent would be saturated right now.
Going to look.
You know, when you touch it,
There's only one thing that connects us all, and that's the power of the ether, the etheric field around us. You need to. Is that better?
Ooh.
Wonderful.
one.
When you look at the power of the ether that's all around us, it's the one thing that connects everything. All of our consciousness comes from the source of creation. And when you look at the source, in the beginning there was nothing. And then from nothing came knowing and the known. Nikolai Tesla said in 1900s that once you understand the power of 3, 6, and 9, you have the keys to the universe. Because everything is frequency, vibration, creating energy. And when you look at the power of the word affects the water. Dr. Masaru Emoto proves that when you use positivity in the water of the actual environment, you change the shape and form of the sacred geometry. Let's go look at your fruits and your vegetables. And if you chop your fruit and the apple across, you'll see the apple has the 5-pointed star, very much like the cabi logo. Because you have the 5 points of creation. You have the spirit at the top on your head, you have the earth and the water, and you have the fire and the plasma, the actual connection that's all around us. The air that you breathe. When you breathe, you're connecting with the ether. Walter Russell tells us that the ether is the creation and source of everything. And it's the frequencies that run through the ether that change the shape of matter. So we look at the shape of matter, we see the actual shape in the fruit change depending on the frequency of light. The apple has the 5-pointed star. We chop a melon in half and we get the 6 points of the actual hexagon. So therefore you're having the shape of the fruit. We're all taught to chop top to bottom because that's to hide the truth.
Listen.
When we chop the fruits left to right or right to left,
you'll see in a sacred geometry that's contained within them. The melon is a sphere. It's the power of 360 degrees. 3 plus 6 gives you the power of 9. So the shape's formed from the ether around you, and every breath you take connects you to the person next to you, and that person to next to them. So we are all one conscious field of existence. Without our understanding of consciousness, we are individuals, and as individuals, we're easily divided and controlled. Nowhere in the Bible does it say go forth and divide, does it?
No.
The only division we get in the Bible is at the beginning, when we divide the waters of heaven from the waters of earth, which gives us the points of creation. We look at the first element on the periodic table. It's hydrogen, which is 1 electron, 1 neutron, 1 proton. When we add those together, we get the power of 3. Then we take the second element, which is helium, 2 electrons, 2 neutrons, 2 protons. Add those together, you get the power of 6. And the third element is lithium, and lithium is the great forgetting, because in the beginning there was a big bang, and we all forgot where we came from.
Big Bang bit.
Because when you have the 3, and the 3, you get the power of 9. So you have the mind, the body, and the spirit, or the soul. We are all human beings, and as humans, the word human is a light vibration, a hue, man manifested into the physical form. The Hermetics knew, Hermes Trismegistus knew the power of the frequency, of the vibration, creating the harmonic dance, giving us the power of the mind. And when we look at our mind is made up of 5 waves: the alpha, the beta, the gamma, the delta, and the theta. And when we look at Aristotle said, show me the child, and by the age of 7, I shall show you the man. Does anybody know why? Why 7 years?
God's love.
It's 7 years because every 7 years, every single cell in our body is replaced. We recreate ourselves every 7 years. It's one full cycle. And that full cycle is based upon the chakra energies inside of your body. Your root, your legs, provide you with your stability, your structure. And when you are rooted to the ground, you're able to transmit the energy up or down depending upon your mindset. Your arms become the branches of the tree, and the tree itself reaches high into the heavens. And your head is the leader, and therefore the spirit comes in through your breath. And your body, your torso, becomes the trunk. And the ancient Egyptians knew this because they referred to your backbone as your jed, which is a receiver of etheric energy. The solid structure of your bones receives the vibrational energy of the water inside of your body, allowing you to feel your emotion. Emotion is E for energy, MOT for the motor of your body, and ion for the energy that comes in. And Hermetics tell us what goes in must come out. And when everybody suppresses the energy that they have inside of them by suppressing their emotion, what happens to the motor? If it can't flow freely, it becomes clogged, trapped. And trapped energy brings a state of dis-ease, which leads to the disease you manifest inside of your mind. And your mind controls the matter that's all around you. So by changing your mindset and stop seeing yourselves as individuals, but seeing yourselves as a community. And this is the community assembly where we come together as one with different ideas to debate the way forward. And as we debate the way forward, we actually find a better way. We take away the power of control, because many hands make light work and power corrupts in the wrong hands. How many of you understand the meaning of time on your hands? I've spoken to a few of you today, but if you all look at your hands, you have 4 fingers, and each finger has 3 segments. And those 3 segments give you the 12 hours of the day or night, depending on your left or right hand. Your left hand is your lower hand, and your right hand is your higher hand. So you have the sun and moon upon your hands. And 24 becomes the power of 6. What's 5 times 12, guys? 60. So your right hand becomes 60 minutes, and your left hand becomes 60 seconds. So your hands have the power of the beast upon them. You are 666 incarnated into a physical form. You are all carbon based entities. Jesus was born into a stable field and placed in a manger made of wood, and wood is carbon, and his father was the carpenter, using the actual materials he had at hand to create a stable field for you all to grow into. And the carbon is the molecule you are. It's the building block of life that they're trying to take away from us with the carbon capture, the carbon neutral. We look at the technocratic system of the 1900s and we see the technocrats developing the control mechanism around us. And the gentleman before me was talking about the power of control with the machinery and the AI. We are all part of a collective field of consciousness. And when we stand together, united as one, we are powerful. And the 1% that control the 99 understand this. So therefore they use the power of division by creating the 17 major different religions. Because religion is nothing more than really allegiance given to a temple. And the religion is liege to give over an ion energy. And when you go to a church or a mosque, what are you doing? You're transferring your sweat equity onto the offering plate, which they use to build more temples. And those temples become the place of worship. And when we have a race of people that actually understand the power of the money, 1928 stock market crash sees the changing of the guard. The dollar had two lines going through it, representing the gold and silver of the money that you worship on the yellow brick road. By 1933, those signs have changed to one line, representing your sweat equity, because that's all the governments have left to offer the controllers of this world. And when you look at the controllers, they class themselves as the chosen, the ones that are led out of the darkness and into the light. We are all dark and light, depending upon our mindset. You're either the beast or an angel in the body. And Disney tells us this, with the symbol of the devil and the angel on your shoulders. Everything's hidden in plain sight. You have the power within you. You're a salt water battery made up of hydrogen and oxygen energy exchanging matter. You are the universe in a physical form. Anybody looked at a pound coin will see that it has, we think, three sides, but on closer inspection, the narrow road seldom trodden represents the 12 star signs. And when you look at the heads and the tails on the coin, we get your Aries, the head upon your shoulders, the area where you do your thinking, your grey matter actually does the work. And we get the fishy tails of Pisces, your feet, connecting you to the earth. And inside your body, you have 12 star signs rotating in a vortex of energy. And Taurus is the shoulder, and you are the bull in the china shop when you've had your head chopped off. The Twin Towers, the power of 11, represents the 11 star signs, not the 12. But the real trick is the baker knows that the baker's dozen is how many?
13.
And why do we have a 13th in the oven? It's to make sure we don't have loss. Because the 13th in the oven becomes Ophiuchus, the hidden star sign, which represents the beginning and the end of your life. And the first thing you do when you're born is you draw your
breath.
And the word breath in Latin is spelled A-E-R, or the air that you breathe is spelled A-E-R, which gives you the ether of creation. And the word breath in Latin is translated from the word spiritus. In spiritus sanctum, in the sanctuary of our spirit, our breath, we have our power. And the oxygen that comes into your body generates your power. Low oxygen levels, low water levels, dehydration, takes away your cognitive function and keeps you trapped in your beast. And when you look at the beast, the symbols come to play here. Everybody sees this being done on the television. The symbol of the triangle pointing upwards represents the phallus, the male energy. And for hundreds of years, the male energy has dominated the world that we live on because it feels that it has the right to dominate the feminine creative mind. Every one of us here is both male and female, left brain logic, right brain creative. Only when you unite the two inside of you do you find your inner peace. Because the missing piece of you is the downward triangle, which is the chalice. And the chalice and the phallus come together to create the hourglass figure. And the hourglass figure is split into two hands because the clock has two hands, hours and minutes. And every 12 hours, your body goes through a 2-hour cycle for each body system that detoxes the parasites and the toxicity from yourself. If you understand the flow of the clock inside of you, your body clock, hands on the clock represent your hands. And whilst hands are turning in a positive direction, they're rising upwards. And when they stand idle, they're doing the work of the devil. And to understand the devil, you have to understand live. Because when we live, we understand that we're creating new life, forming new ways, coming together in harmony. But when we stop working together, we experience the evil of destruction and control. So therefore, the word live, L-I-V-E, becomes E-V-I-L. And when we evolve, or we drop down into the delta wave, we create the devil of our own mind. And most of our instincts come from inside of us, and we create our own problems. Because man copies everything in nature. Your eyes are the camera, your hair's the antenna, your skin the sensors. Everything in nature existed inside of you. Because everything that's created by man comes from the mind, and the power of the mind creates all that matters. So therefore, all the people in control have to do is create more material things for your mind to want. When Jesus was sacrificed on the actual Mount of Golgotha, he had the thieves either side of him. Does anybody understand what the thieves are? They're your ears and they're your eyes, because your eyes are always bigger than your belly, and your ears are always deceived by the sweetest of sounds. We see Solomon. We see the story of Samson and Delilah and the power of Solomon's temple. Samson was a strong man, holding the pillar of Boaz, the pillar of the sound, firm foundation. And he was also holding the pillar of Ahim, the pillar of enlightenment, the pillar of knowledge. And when Delilah came in, her sweet voice distracted her. It had distracted his ears, and he dropped the pillar of the sound, firm foundation. And then her beauty distracted his eyes and took him off the light. However, he was still connected to the temple, because the man is Solomon, is the temple. You have two temples, your left and your right. It is only when you let go of your inner sight that you lose the power of light and sound, because the Jews know the power of the Talmud, the destroyer. They know the power of the Torah, the creator. But they also know the power of the Zahar, which brings the power of creation, because it brings the magnetism, it brings the dark and the light together. When we look at Walter Russell tells us that light, dark, is the same energy, but it's the opposite ends of the spectrum. And we look at the spectrum and we get Joseph's multicolored coat, because you are the rainbow in physical form. Your root is red, your sacral is orange, your solar plexus is yellow, and the power of your solar plexus is simply amazing. Your heart is green, hence the Wizard of Oz hiding behind the green curtain. Your throat is blue, hence Venus, the women talking all the time. And then you have the power of indigo and violet, your inner eye, and your crown upon your head. And the more we look, the more we see. In order to know ourselves, we need to know our enemy, and our enemy is ourselves. When we look at ourselves and we come together in harmony inside of us, we harmonize with the people next to us, raising the field of consciousness around us, and therefore bringing together community. And where we go one, we go all. We all work together, making light work of the tasks in hand. When we're all bickering and fighting, the work becomes harder, and the brickwork is never as good, so the sound firm foundation is never formed properly, so the Tower of Babel gets built up, and then it falls over, and we all start babbling and crying about the fallen bricks. We've got to start all over again and start building again. And at the moment, we're in about the 6th incarnation, because we're carbon, and the carbon cycle is what we're living in. As we evolve again, the elements will change, and we will change as individuals and we will become lighter. Because when we look at the power of carbon, the wood, the tree, is carbon. 18% of your body is carbon because you are the tree. And as we put fire to the carbon, it becomes charcoal. And the charcoal becomes a higher calorific value. And as we continue to pressurize the charcoal and the coal, we get diamonds. Because you are all the diamond amongst the rocks. Because you live upon the rock. And you are made from the rock. Because you're made from the minerals of the rock, vibrating in the frequencies of sacred geometry. Now the question here is, do we work together as a team, or do we blindly follow the shepherd? Because the good shepherd teaches us as we go, and says to us that people shall perish for the lack of knowledge, for although they have eyes to see and ears to hear, they are easily deceived by the devil. And the devil is always in the detail of the contract. Let's follow the contract, the con, the trap, the swapping of energy, the taking of energy, and the act of control. So therefore, as we are controlled by the legislature, we realise that the common law of man has been hijacked by the law of the sea. And we are nothing more than slaves chained to the blockchain. And as we move forward into the world of cryptocurrency, on the blockchain, we see the trap. Because what is a block? It's a rock. And the chain goes from rock to rock. And the first time we see this, well, one of the first times we see it on the Roman galley ships. Because the slaves were chained to the block by the chain. Jesus tells us, and I'm using Jesus again because it's the easiest one to do if you most know him. When he walked into the temple and he threw the tables of Sadducees and Pharisees over the floor, and he said to them, you shall not shackle the people to your system of control with your shekel. Does anybody know what a shekel is? It's the golden coin of the yellow brick road from the Wizard of Oz, because you're nothing more than a dead entity of the straw man. And the straw man is controlled by a certificate of education, giving him a brain. Now, when you start to use your heart, you realise you don't need a certificate of education, because the education is taking away your intuition. It's controlling you. And by becoming part of the control system, you become easily led. A strong person has their own mind, has their own vision, and they share that vision to build a bigger vision. So people, as a community, we come together, we build the assembly, we see the traps of the Billy Goats Rock on the bridge and the trolls. And we see the trolls every day coming out to knock people down when they speak the truth. Because when we go to the actual Bible and we look at John verse 8, the infinite trap, because 8 is the infinity loop of creation, reincarnation and death, which we live upon on this earth. And we look at verses 31 and 32. 3 and 1 and 3 and 2 becomes 63, and 6 and 3 becomes 9. And the verse tells us the truth shall set you free. Only when you face yourselves and face your truths do you set yourselves free from the soul trap. We're all one in this world. We're all creators or destroyers, depending upon our mindset. You're either the beauty or the beast. Disney tells us. And only when you look when the beauty learns to tame the beast of the man, the two come together in harmony, creating a harmonization of the world that we really need, and doing no harm. Because we're told not to do harm as we grow. And only when we do no harm do the crops grow freely, and do we actually share the knowledge. And we look back in history. History's been rewritten by the people with the education system. Does anybody know about the Empire of Tartaria? I suggest you all go out there and you look at the Empire of Tartaria, because it tells us it was one of the biggest empires on the map. We go back and we look at the North Pole, and we look at the black rock at the centre of the North Pole, and we see the magnetic field and what we're being controlled by at the moment in the financial world. Black rock. Keep the financial environment going. Everything goes where attention flows. Everything is linked. Only the people with knowledge will come together in the power of understanding and create a better way. Because knowledge is power. And power in the wrong hands of the occult gets corrupted, allowing you to be controlled.
Because when we look at the word Gnostic, Gnosis, the Christian, we see knowledge being shared freely among the people so we can all grow our own food. We can all harvest from nature, which gives freely. And when we nurture nature, nature nurtures us. So are we one with the sheep, or we are one with the conscious field of existence? The choice is yours. Rise or fall. Be controlled by the artificial intelligence of Abraxas, which is told to us in the Gnostic texts. We look at the Gnostics, they were wise people, and they were the first Christians. And the Christians have always been persecuted and slaughtered and locked up and fed to the lions because they were fearless, because they shared the knowledge. And they had to be wiped out by the controllers. And we look at the word cathedral, cathode, Ra, harvester of negative energy, because the cathode collects the negative energy, and Ra is rod. And as we draw down the energy of the ether, for every 1 meter you go up to the earth, it's 100 volts of free energy. Compounded, 2 meters becomes 300 volts, 3 meters, 600 volts. So the taller the steeple, the greater the power generator. We look at the cathedral, it had an organ in there that was used the etheric energy to work with the organs inside of your body, because the organ was used for pipes, it's a breath. And what are your organs connected inside your body by? Pipes. So as you use your breath, your frequencies work. You need no technology to heal yourself. What you need to do is learn to know thine enemy by knowing yourself. And as you change your mindset, you change the power inside of your body and allow your body to heal naturally. The water comes from the air that you breathe, because the atmosphere around us is gases. It's a higher form of vibration. Water itself is a lower form, and as we go from that, it becomes the ice. And as we superheat the water, it becomes plasmonic energy, which gives us the sun's power. And the power from the sun radiates around us, allowing our skin to photosynthesize, just like the leaves on the tree, creating vitamin D3 to provide healing. So, if anybody wants to come on a journey with me, I'm here to help and grow with everybody and learn with everybody. I'll share the knowledge freely. Let's see as a community whether we can actually make this work and take on the powers that be, because love orders valuable energy, whereas hate always takes energy. So when we give freely in love and banish the hate, the energy is balanced out and we create a better way of life in the new world. So I'd like to thank everybody for letting me come to talk here today, because community is the way. And the energy inside of you is your consciousness. Learn to use it, flow with it, and become the wolf, not the sheep. Because the flow of the river is contained within you, because you are the river. And Bruce Lee tried to tell us this, but nobody listened to him, and he was killed as a result. Water, air, life source, we can go 40 days, 40 nights on just air alone. Because we take the water we need from the atmosphere. Thank you, everybody. You're beautiful people, and let's see a better world. Woo!
You are amazing. That guy knows his shit.
I wish I could expand on what
We've
he's
got a
saying.
picture us there, couldn't we?
Everything he's just said is so true.
Oh, in there?
Everything he just said is so true. But you know what he did? He showed you, like, he just said what he wanted to say. He showed you. He like.
Yo.
What's the word? He just. He
Yeah,
showed you.
This been YouTube.
Can we have Peter Hughes to the stage, please? Peter Hughes.
It's just a shame.
Oh, he's not
Imagine this
there.
minute, somewhere read out.
Yeah.
Somewhere read out.
Oh,
Last week, about a month ago, we were all here.
Another show on the day. Totally different atmosphere, isn't it? All day, isn't it? All day.
There's not a lot of people here now, though.
Yeah, a lot's going on there because the
Been all
Weather's
day.
just shit,
weather
isn't it?
is absolutely terrible.
We're still here though. Is what?
Is it recording?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do we get copies of it?
if you go on YouTube on my channel, it'll
You'll
be
see it
under
live.
live. So you can just watch it
How
all.
good were he?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh my God, I've never seen. I've never heard
Share
of
that
that
with him.
speech.
It's all there. I'm going to watch it again after reading it.
You know what? He said something, but then he backed it up with like science.
Yeah,
Like,
but what he's saying is the powers we knew, we could get away by watching our child.
YouTube channel.
exactly.
That's what he's not really saying. He's
Yeah.
very well installed.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with everything he said, but
Hang on, let me just.
somebody will go in and put telly on. Give that power away.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yo,
He's on there.
How are we?
oh, he's that mad farmer, isn't
Oh,
he?
that's that guy in it who was camping.
Oh, fucking
That's the
summer
bit
farmer.
we need to concentrate on.
That's that guy that was camping in that TV.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yo.
Hey!
When you ready? Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey!
We are alive still. Okay, my name's Mark, aka the Bowler Hat Farmer, and we've been travelling the UK. Gloria's gone back to bed in the warm. We've been travelling the UK for the last 7 months now, and we've been looking at what's going on in the food and farming side. And the great thing is, and I have to say this after travelling around for 7 months, and when I left home, it was all about the doom and gloom of, oh my God, there's going to be, all the farmers are going to be shut off the farms, and it's not going to be any food. Whilst all that is probably true, what I have come to conclude is we have seen some amazing projects. We have seen farmers that are fighting back. We have seen farmers that are making sure that there is going to be food on the table. Farmers that want to transition across from chemical farming across to chemical-free organic farming. But here's the challenge. At the moment, DEFRA, which is our governmental department that should be supporting our farmers, isn't. Now, my conclusion is we have two choices to make as, shall I say, an awakened community, as a right-wing community. Call yourselves what you might. Here is the thing. The time is coming where we have to make a decision which side of the fence we're standing on. We, and I had this conversation earlier with the guys from cabi there, that we need to fund somehow all the things what need to happen. And the government at this point, the governmental departments that should be funding these things are not. So therefore, it's going to have to come down to us guys. Now, I don't know what, it's free to join cabi, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I'm going to tell you now, that's a mistake, right? Because if it was a tenner a month, there'd be money in the kitty to do more things, to bring more public awareness, and that's where we need to be. We've travelled the country at our own expense, and when I say our own expense, I think I'm about, I don't know, 10 grand down after 7 months. But we have been fed, watered, bedded by everybody around the country who wanted us to continue this talk. Now, when I left home, my mum said to me, oh, bless you, darling. Lovely, Mum. Thank you very much for your common support. Now, isn't that she doesn't believe in me? She wasn't sure that other people were going to buy into my dream and my vision of wanting to put food on the table. So what's changed? When I did the first speech, I was like, oh, my God, it's going to be bad, people. We were in Glasgow 2 nights ago, talking to the Glaswegians. They do talk funny up there, I've got to tell you. And what came out of it for me was the level of support for what's going on. Now, we all understand that we all have a slightly different thought and perspective on these things. And cabi won't agree with Albion, Albion don't agree with X, Y, and Z. It don't matter. What does matter is that we come together and we collectively bring down the system. Now, I'm not one for wanting anarchy on the streets. I'm not one for wanting to bring down the system too quickly. But the system's corrupt. We all know it. Other people are waking up to it. And I'd say when I left home 7 months ago, the majority of people didn't know what's going on. That's changing, and that's changing really fast. And it's easy to come to a wet field and go, well, no one turned up. Well, do you know what? You all did, and that's all what matters. Because as I've travelled around the country and got to see loads of farmers that are doing different things, and they're doing different things for a reason, because they know what they've been doing isn't working anymore. They know that they've got to change the way they do things. so have we. We have to come together. Our numbers in our strengths. When I first started on this journey 18 months ago, I mean, I was awakened to the bullshit in 2021, the 2021 agenda when I was 21 years old, and I'm now sadly not 21. Now I've got to 57 and we're a few years down the road, and you start to see it all come together. And I was the first one that said, well, this won't work. They won't stop farmers producing food because that's all farmers want to do. We don't need to stop farmers producing food. You just pay them not to produce food. You get them to a point that they can't stand on their own 2 feet because they don't know how to anymore. They've been so subsidised. So we remove the subsidies. Now they're going to do what they're told. And that's where we are. 80% of our farmers will get out of farming in the next 5 years. Point of fact. But here's the great thing. People like Stacey are buying land. Why are they buying land? Because they want to produce food. Not only for themselves, for the community. Now, as I'm travelling around the country, we've seen more and more farmers that are giving up land for community projects. We've seen lots and lots of that. We've just come down from Scotland. We had a 350-mile drive to get from where we were in West Scotland down to here. And we stopped over and did a talk in Glasgow overnight. But where we've just come from, the lady's sitting on 200 acres. Mark, what can I do to put this into a community project? How can I get assistance from the community to produce more food? That's what we need to do. We need to come together collectively. Lots of people in Glasgow said to me, oh, Mark, you know, the problem we've got, no, don't do problems. Do solutions. There they were telling me, there was one lady stood there saying to me, oh, I haven't got a garden. And here's a lady this side of me saying, oh, I only wish I knew what to do with my garden. Talk to each other. We've got to talk to more people. We've been led to believe that everyone is against what we talk about because the bullshit what goes on in mainstream media leads us to believe that we are the minority. Agreed? We all think, oh, there's no one else thinks like me. There's thousands of people out there, bloody millions of people in this country think like us. But what we've got to do is bring them together. And what we've got to do is empower them to genuinely believe they can make a difference. Because everybody says to me, well, what can I do? Well, start doing something. Start talking to people. Start putting some seeds in the ground. It doesn't take a lot of growing to produce good quality food. It doesn't take a lot of space. If anyone's got a garden, they can produce more than they need. If anyone's got a balcony, anything at all, put some tubs where you can. There's guys down, we were down in Glastonbury, and the guys down there, they're still tree planters. They go out and do busking, they raise some cash, they go and plant a load of trees out in the local community area. There's loads of projects like this going on. What we've got to do is find out how we fund it, and that's where I think cabi really needs to now come together. How many members in cabi? Over 3,000? 7?
But only how many films said acting?
Well, my point is, how many of them would chuck in £10 a month? And I certainly would.
Well, we say if everybody donated £5 a month.
Well, there you go. Can I ask the question? Have you asked them to do that?
We do now. We do when we go to meetings. We ask.
You've got to.
Yeah.
This is not going to fund itself, boys and girls.
We can have a specific donation to farmers, you see, and I think people will go to that because it's all.
Not just farmers. What you're doing as well. The problem is that the whole thing needs funding. And the only way that's going to get funded is if we fund it. The government ain't going to fund this. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got CIC, and I'm really good at manipulating the system to part with money because it's our money. People said to me, why didn't you set it up as a PMA? Because I want to extract as much money as possible from them bastards. Simple as that. That's why I set it up. And that's what we need to do more of. It's ours. And we take from them, the more good we can do. People say, no, you shouldn't be taking their money. You're taking the king's crown. What? Are you for real? The more we rob off of them, the more we can do good with it. That's how they've worked with us. They've absolutely raped and pillaged us for years. It's time to take it back, guys. Now,
As I've travelled around the country, I want to talk about a few projects I've seen because we've seen some brilliant stuff going on. And we were down in Truro and we went to see a farmer there, ex-SAS officer. And he'd been trained in crowd control. So quite quickly come to realise when his time to come out of the military came up, he was off, he was gone. But he's now breeding cows. And he grazes the cows across this beautiful pasture. And I'm someone who's taken the piss out of farmers over the past for, oh yeah, but we're going down to grass lays because it seals the carbon dioxide in the ground. And they fucking believe it. Honestly. And I say to people, no. CO2. And most farmers are my age and above. And I think to myself, what planet are you lot on? Gas of life. I went to agricultural college. That was the first thing they taught me. CO2, gas of life. Okay. But if it's a gas of life, why do you want to get rid of it? They don't have no intentions to want to get rid of it. They know if they tell us to cut down, they can increase and we can get taxed on it and they'll spunk more money up the wall on the things they think are a good idea like this shit. That's the reality of it. And we fund it. So we've got to stop funding this nonsense. But the way we fund it, I don't think, comes from the nonsense of not paying the council tax, the nonsense of not paying the water rates and things. Should they be paid? Probably not. Should you stop paying them? You're only going to give yourself grief if you don't. Here's the thing. The supermarket supply chain is the biggest thing what feeds the system. It employs the most amount of people. It bankrolls all of the banks. It's paying for projects left, right and centre. They're funding all the corruption. They're sponsoring all sorts of projects going on. What we need to stop. It's easy. And I'm going to ask an honest question here because this is a truth festival.
Yes.
Put your hands up if you use a supermarket still.
Does the co-op count?
They all count. They're always bloody corrupt.
That's right.
And here's the problem. And it's difficult. I will say it's difficult to not use them. I get that and I understand that. But one of the things when I went to Scotland, we got invited to go and see the Good Food Project. And they have now offered me an opportunity to launch what they're doing in Scotland, as much as they're supplying the UK. They supply over 3,000 items, all chemical free, all organic, so that people don't have to go to a supermarket. We're now going to be running that in the UK starting the end of this year. We've teamed up with Organity, which are another organisation, but they do things via food hubs. So 25 people, 30 people in a village organise us to get their shopping on the same day, and they deliver it all to a village hall, let's say, or the village church, whatever. And everyone goes and collects it, sits down, has a cup of tea together, builds that community again. The thing what they've robbed us of. So as we come together and put all these people in the mix, and I thought to myself, we need somewhere to run this from. And I spoke to a friend in Grimsby, and he said, well, I've got 5,000 acres. You can have as much of that to farm as you want. And then he says, oh, I've got a house for you to live in. And then he says, oh, I've got a shed you can use as a farm shop. And then he says, I've got a grain store we're not using. Suddenly we've got a complete distribution system starting to come together for a new food supply chain. See, and this isn't about me. This is about collectively, we have to make decisions. You know, whatever those battles are going to be, we need to make decisions which side of the fence we're going to stand on. And we're going to need to make those decisions fairly quickly, guys. Because the nonsense is getting deeper. We all know it. We can all feel it. But on the other side of this, we all feel something's coming. And I'm going to tell you something. I am not a religious person. However, and I will put a caveat to this. I'm not religious, and I would always say that I must be Christian by default. I grew up in a Christian house. I brought my children up to know what Easter was, Christmas was. I was christened in a Christian church, married in a Christian church. By default, I must be a Christian. Am I religious? No. I don't buy the bullshit of religion. Like it or be offended, I don't care either way. Do I believe in God? Well, I'm going to tell you something. My partner is very religious, and when she came to the UK and we first met, she used to take offence to some of the things I said about religion. but she started to understand the money-making schemes involved in religion as opposed to the difference of God. Now, as I've travelled across the country, lots of people like me who have deemed themselves as not religious over the years have started to question faith. Question, did they ever have faith? And if they did, what did it look like? And the fact that they're not religious is neither here nor there. They do have faith. I always say the universe will provide. Gloria says God will provide. And my cousin who's a pastor says to me they're both the same bloody thing. Can't you understand that? Now, but we all look at things slightly differently. And this is now where the excitement for me comes, guys, is because there's going to be a lot of people out there, you know, and I've done the speech lots of times, and people take offence when I say about this, but we are a Christian country. And some people get offended about that. Well, if you don't like it, the water seems to be easily flowing this way. Get on the boat and row the other way if you don't like it, in my opinion. Because the reality is, there is a war coming.
Well said.
And that is a point of fact. We all know it. We all know the shit's going to hit the fan at some point. And I'm a great believer in the fact that without some blood being shed, we're not going to resolve this. Do I want to see crime on the streets? No.
100%.
Do I want to see people get killed? No. Do I think we're going to not resolve this without that? No. The problem we've got is we are the only resistance left to our kids and grandkids having a better future.
Exactly.
100%.
The whole reason I started doing this tour back in February was because I've got kids, I've got grandkids. I'm 57 and I've lived in a country with no war, no famine, no water shortages. I've been absolutely freaking blessed. As for all of you. I've had days when I've been down on my luck. I've been days when I've been on my arse. I've still eaten. I've still had something to drink. I've still had a roof over my head. We've been blessed, guys. What we now need to decide is what we do next to protect that. And while I'm a great believer in believing that we need to step outside the system, on the way out the door, we need to pull it to the bloody ground. Because that corruption's got to stop at some point. One of two things is going to happen, in my opinion. One, we're going to win, or two, we're going to win. Right? Point of fact, losing is not an option. Because I ain't going to see my kids and my grandkids without food on the table. Forget all the other things other people come up and stand on the stage and talk about. I don't get involved in none of it. I have my thoughts, I have my feelings, I have my belief. Do I think the Earth's flat? Don't know. I think it's bigger than we're told. And it might be that we're on a flat bit of a really big planet, but I don't think it's flat.
I think that.
Do I think God exists? I don't know. Miracles happen. I'll tell you a quick story. And I was just about to tell the guys this when I came on stage. We were in Scotland and we'd broken down. And I borrowed a car from the people we were staying with. And we got about 100 miles from where we were staying, and the brakes went on the car. And we're travelling down the bypass, and I said to Gloria, tapped her on the leg, and I said, darling, I don't want to worry you, but we've got no brakes. And she went, oh, okay. Is that an issue? I said, we'll find out in a minute. And then gradually, as we went up this hill, there was a turn off. I turned into it, slowed down. I'm the guy who organised the car for us. I said, got a bit of an issue. And he said, I'll ring a mate. His mate couldn't come out to us because his mate was quite close. But he said, I've got another guy I know.
For me and for my son.
Guy comes out, Glaswegian guy. I couldn't understand a word he said. Lovely guy. He repaired the car for me, put a pair of mole grips on the brake pipe, got us back on the road.
Everybody
did
prefers
the
you
tour.
over Jade.
The next morning, I'd left the car overnight at a garage with the guy we were talking with. And the next day, the guy comes to see me, a friend of Richard Bogues, and he said to me, oh, he says, you ain't going to believe what happened this morning. He said,
listen, we all
sat having breakfast. He says, and a mate of mine comes around for breakfast, and he said, talk about the small world we live in, right? And he says, I said to him, I said, I can't stay. He said, so I'm going to meet this guy called the Bowler Hat Farmer, an English guy who's talking, he's touring all around Scotland talking about farming and food and stuff. And he says, what's the chances of that? He said, there was a guy broke down yesterday, I went out to rescue him. He says, and he got a bowler hat in the back of his car. Said he's going around doing some talking. You never know who's watching what you're doing, I'll tell you. Now, as I say, guys, we've got decisions to make. And I think you've all made yours. You've stood here all day in the rain.
But Jade cannot turn around and
lots and lots of you, I know, follow me on social media. Thank you for that. It's important that we get this message out. Keep liking and sharing. But above all else, and I cannot emphasise this enough, it is time to stock your cupboards with food. If you have not. And I say this because what's happened is that we are sliding towards a black hole that is, if they have their way, going to happen this winter. And what's coming is that DEFRA is bullshit, and there's no other way for it. You can take your pick if you believe in viruses or not, but I can tell you that this winter, I don't have to say, this winter, blue tongue, TB and bird flu will be rife, according to DEFRA's policies, because they're going to inject it into everything, make sure it's sprayed from above, and we will end up with lots of ill animals. When we get lots of ill animals, we'll have to cull them, and when we've culled them, there'll be less meat. Now, we know they don't want us to have meat. We know they like us to eat the butts. But I ain't taking part. I can tell you now, under no circumstances am I ever going to be vegan. I don't care if it upsets anybody. I want bacon on my plate in the morning for breakfast. I want meat at lunchtime. I want meat for dinner. And I want a ham sandwich before I go to bed. Doris says, well, I've never met someone who eats so much meat as you. I was brought up on a farm.
Always.
That's what we do. Farmers produce food. We want to eat food. And guys, there is a time coming where that's going to change if they have their way. What we need to do is stop it in the bud. And that is where, you know, I'm working with Cabi on the farming side. You know, I've been working, and people say, oh, you know, Mark, what are you doing at the moment? You know, you haven't done as many YouTube videos. YouTube got me so pinned down I can't even make a video and put it up anymore. Do I care? No. What I've been doing in my spare time instead. I've been doing hundreds upon hundreds of Zoom calls, which are international Zoom calls, national Zoom calls, local Zoom calls, working with small groups, bigger groups, national groups, international groups. I got invited onto a call the other day to do a Zoom call. And there, I could see there was 2,873 people on there, but I had no knowledge of who they were until they started asking questions. And I'd already finished the speech, and I was just talking about food and farming, and we got to the end, the guy says, oh, right, Mark, we'll start introducing some of the people. They were all doctors, scientists, professors. What have they all got in common? Every one of them has been struck off from their profession because they've been outspoken. Every one. And we think we're the only people. There's millions of them who have been kicked out of their profession. And one of the things one of the doctors said to me, which was the most profound thing, and he said, you think you're the only ones under attack. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you think farmers are under attack? I said, farmers are. He said, so are doctors. And I could look at that and think to myself, well, coming from someone who doesn't take any pharmaceuticals, right?
And I know you weren't shouting at me.
Then, from my side, I've got no time for doctors anyway. So do I care if they're under attack? But then I thought about it, farmers are under attack as well. It's exactly the same thing. Doctors haven't done what's right. Farmers haven't done what's right. The fact that they've been attacked and eliminated is their own problem. Because all the farmers I go to that are growing organic, good quality, nutritional food, what are they doing? They're thriving. They're absolutely thriving because they're not relying on taking the money from DEFRA. They're just out there producing good quality food and selling good quality food. That's what we need to specialise in. And one of the big things going around the country that I've seen is the nutritional value of food is really, really low. But there's lots and lots going on that side. I spoke to a guy who's designed this little gadget for testing nutritional value in food. And I said, this would be great if we could get this to mainstream. And he said, well, they said there's over 1 million farmers in India using this at the moment to test it. And they're on a 5-year project to see if they grow good quality food, what's the outcome of how many drugs people need less. How does that stack up, guys? Can you imagine if that happened across the world? Well, it's good and we're going to make it. Guys, I'm Mark, the Pole Hat Farmer. Have a great day!
Yay!
Thanks everybody, and thank you to everybody for hanging around despite the weather. A big thank you and lots of love to all of you, everybody that made the effort to be here. And if you're not a cabi member, join now. We're
Get it done.
Stronger. Thank you everyone. Unfortunately, there's no live music because of the weather. They decided to cancel. So I think if everybody wants to get on the way, you're more than welcome. But thank you again and lots of love to everybody. Thank you.
For the bulge.
Oh, what?
Time for the bulge.
Oh, already.
Already.
Go on then, Beth, do it.
You have to do it now. It will.
It's not that bloody quick, wasn't it?
Is that your equipment going in now for me?
Not just yet.
I would. So you can enjoy yourself about
Not too worried just yet.
the reality of the
Just readjusting all the equipment. Hopefully, I think John might come over. Since we got a media blackout when he got up on stage. But I have recorded some of it. Yeah, everything went off. Even my laptop just turned off.
Weird. I know we're all tinfoil hat people, half of us here are tinfoil hat people, but you know, these chemtrails and that, why is today, all day, is the worst out of the entire year?
Wow.
This is the worst day of rain I've seen. And then we have a media blackout on one. I'm not saying.
You know what? The live stream
the most important person to be here.
The live stream was running perfectly, right? For 3 hours, and as soon as John got on stage,
Would it just be more oppositional to what we're trying to achieve? You get what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you're all doing the right thing, so here's what we're going to throw at you. Do you know what I mean? Well, not one, a couple of people, yeah, might have, whatever, but people that mattered and stayed. And you know, Mel and Layla, who we asked you about, they've been coming, but they're not having members. They know Stacey from a bit ago, they're not having members yet, and I've just been speaking to them about myself. And you saw things absolutely over the moon and took my number, both of them. And they signed up to cabi as well, and then we started to regular meetings. I know it's only 2 people, but it's 2 people. It matters to start. Warm up a bit.
Enjoy it, yeah. Oh, right, enjoying it. It's just wet, isn't it?
very wet, very wet.
Honestly, if I'd have put my tent up and stuff, I'd have been squatted. I'd have been sleeping in a puddle. Wouldn't I?
You'd have been a very unhappy team.
No, I'd been sleeping in a puddle. It's getting me now.
Very wet.
To the bones.
You're fucking freezing. I need to go to bed for an hour. I'm so tired.
I need to make a burger.
How are you going to make a burger?
We got cooking facilities.
We have. We have.
To be fair, Trina, we probably should have just bought 2 packets because then we'll score it.
We've got loads of food.
Are you sure?
Right. So that was Cabi Fest. Yeah, it's still online.
Cabi Fest would have been better, warmer, but it is what it is.
It's very cold. It is.
I'm like, people.
So we're going to wrap this up. Share it to people.
Goal was achieved.
It's bloody freezing.
No, it was worth it. Who's that speaking to Stacey in the all black?
Where's Stacey?
Stacey's there.
Oh, it's Darren.
Who's Darren?
He's He's one of the facilitators for Rugby.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good looking man, him.
He's a very good looking man, isn't
He's
he?
good looking.
Although I think he may be spoken for.
Oh, was he? Just saying out of everyone here.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Really good guy, he is. Right, so we're going to end stream now anyway. We are going to probably do another few videos after this. Hopefully John's going to talk to me and I'll put it up as a video. So hope you enjoyed and see you later. No worries, Landraver. Hopefully next one you need to come. And I hope bloody weather's better as well.
It's got to be better. It can't be worse.
No, it can't get any worse, can it?
It can only be better than today. Today's been good.
Windy. That's the only way it can get worse, if it's rainy and windy.
The sideways rain.
It was raining sideways earlier. I literally had the equipment outside the awning because the rain was coming in at that much of an angle. We had to sit almost outside of it not to get wet. Yeah, me and Michael make the trip. Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good. What really would be good if the van... look what Mark did at Morecambe. He got 52 vans to go to Morecambe. You know what? He said he didn't get a good outcome to that. I thought it was brilliant. He got 52 vans to Morecambe. That is fantastic, if you ask me. When it comes to social media, he didn't exactly go around with flyers to everybody. He just did it online, and 52 people turned up in vans, maybe more. 2 people in a van, you know. If the next one we do here, if 52 vans turned up, or, you know, people in them vans, as well as other people, that's fantastic. To get the message across, if YouTubers could come here and we get the bowler hat farmer here and other people on stage, and to spread the word, this is how we get a movement moving. You know, people want to join when they see things happening. So for the next one, if we could get everyone here, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I'll let people know the next. Sorry, I'll read it in comments. And I'll let people know the next event, and you need to come. You need to come. And on that note, I'm going because my laptop's just got hammered by weather all day. So hold on, let me read comments. Yeah, Corey, interesting event, shame about weather, 100%. Yeah, a lot of van life was already out there. That's the reason why they're living in a van, 100%. It's one of the reasons why I bought my van and did my van, because I was just like, you can do what you want to me. I could disappear in that van. Yeah. That's what we need to do. It's about time we got together. A lot of people here, I've been talking to a lot of people about van life, and a lot of people are just like, let people live alternatively. Let people live how they want to live. It's their life. It's their choice. We've got nothing against them. And that's what the type of people we need. That's the mindset we need, you know. Leave people alone. Let them live how they want to live, how they want to live. Right. And on that note, I'm going. I'm going to put another video up though, because I'm probably going to get a chance to speak to John, which is good. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.